launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show as we are coming to you live from the TPC of Tampa Bay, where the USF football program will have their golf tournament today and fundraiser. Michael Kelly, the athletic director, will join us at 11:30. Much to talk about with Michael Kelly as, college athletics has been turned on its ear. There are more expansion talks going on, and that's why Michael Kelly, frankly, is here and what he is doing and getting the new stadium for USF. That is the absolute focal point for them moving into a big conference as these super conferences are heading our way, folks. So get ready for more expansion, more alignment in college athletics, and USF positioning itself to move into that upper tier. So we'll talk a lot about that today. We got Bucs camp to talk about as well. Baker Mayfield spoke yesterday. Kyle Trask spoke yesterday. Sean Tucker spoke yesterday, who is now out there playing and is a very, very interesting player. We'll talk more about him. Lots to get up on the baseball front. There's a new name out there that's being floated to the Rays that has me very, very excited. So we'll get to that as well. I'll say good morning to you, Nick Geddes, back in our St. Petersburg studios. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Glad to see that you're doing okay over there at the over there in Lutz. I believe you're in for the USF tournament there.
It's unlike Bucs camp yesterday. It's hot.
It's hot.
I mean, hot.
Yes,
hot.
I can imagine. Me personally, I'm glad to be back in the saddle today and get back into swing of things after the day off yesterday. So ready to get going,
my friend.
Absolutely.
Good to have you back. Well, yeah, we got into a little bit yesterday. I was out there at the first couple days of Bucs camp. We're getting some reports already today that Baker Mayfield is getting the first team reps today. He spoke yesterday. We'll get into some of his comments. And I'll just say it as an overview, watching both guys do their press conferences yesterday, it's clear that Baker Mayfield is very much in charge. He talks, walks, looks like a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's, a lot of that has to do with his persona, his national persona, the fact that he has started. But you can tell he is a mature, professional football player who has been through this before. You could tell in his interviews. You could tell the way he handles himself out on the course. It's very evident. Now, that's not to say that, Kyle Trask has no shot in this, because watching Kyle Trask the first couple of days, there's no question that he looks like a starting quarterback in the NFL, at least to me. But this is, lingerie football out there, what they're doing right now. They don't have the pads on. This is not a regular game. It's just practice, so there's a long way to go. But I think Kyle Trask has come a long way. There's no question about that. He has put himself squarely into the competition. I think we all kind of defaulted it to Baker Mayfield. It may still be that way to some. Kind of a light moment yesterday at practice when Todd Bowles was leaving the podium and Baker was coming up. Baker went first, by the way. Seniority, I guess. And he said, "Hey, Baker, are you the starting quarterback?" And we'll hear that soundbite here in a little bit. But I mean, I still do think it is a legitimate competition. That'll help both guys. We've talked a lot about that. But Baker said some interesting things yesterday and seems to be very much in charge. I don't know what you got from the interview, but that's what I got.
My biggest thing from the Baker Mayfield interview yesterday, and I say this in a good way, I thought he had a lot of quote-unquote quarterback speak throughout that 12-minute interview, I believe it was.
He's a pro.
And that's what I'm saying. I feel like you're seeing the evolution of Baker Mayfield as a pro and the way he's approaching this game mentally and the way he's approaching himself with the media. I'm sure there are questions he gets every day that he'd love to scoff at and say something, pretty wise about it. But he sits up there and answers every question, and he gives you the typical, it's not like Brady level cliche. I won't go that far, but it definitely has that kind of cliche type of feel to it. And I feel like a franchise quarterback, that's part of it, no?
Right,
it just seems like a different Baker Mayfield that we're getting this season with the Bucs, and I think a lot of that goes into that he knows that he's made mistakes along the way, both on the field and off the field during his NFL career. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. He knows that this is his last chance, he has a really good shot of being started this year, regardless of what Kyle Trask does. And you can see he's taking it very serious. Being the leader of the team means a lot to him. So that's kind of what I took away in a really unconventional way, is that the quarterback speak is actually a really good thing that you're getting out of Baker Mayfield this year.
I agree. And it's not that you're going to glean a lot from these different press conferences, but again, it's just part of, as you said, it's just part of playing quarterback. And the other part of it is making plays. And I've seen a little bit of that. I mean, the first play of team, not really scrimmage, but team ball on day one was, a 75, 80-yard touchdown to Cade Otton. I mean, that's a nice way to start your practice and your training camp off. I don't think enough was made of that. That's clearly a play that they've been waiting to put on the defense, and it worked to perfection. And he can make those plays, and he's that kind of guy. Now, as we've talked about, Kyle Trask is going to have to step up and make big throws all throughout practice and not turn the ball over. And he did turn the ball over yesterday in goal line. Servassier Dennis had a pick six that would have gone up for 100 yards. Again,
we're okay with that. We're okay with Servassier Dennis. If somebody's going to make a play on defense at the expense of one of these quarterbacks, I'm okay with it being Servassier Dennis, who continues to flash. Yeah. I like it.
I'm kind of with you. Maybe that's why Devin White's practicing.
Maybe somebody's breathing down his neck,
Yeah, competition makes everybody better. That's the good part about it. So, listen, I just love being out there. I've got to be out there the past couple days. I'll be out there some more, obviously, next week as this team starts coming together. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did want to ask you a question real quick, because obviously you could answer this more than I could. I've seen a lot of people that have been attending Bucs camps, and they've been talking about the vibe out there, and that it's completely different from what we've seen out there for the last, I guess 2 years, excluding the COVID year, obviously, where nobody was really out there. Do you kind of pick up that vibe that here on the other side of Tom Brady, it feels like there's a different vibe at camp?
Yeah, there's no question there's a different vibe, and I think it's more of a kind of a team vibe. Listen, when 12 was out there, all eyes were on him. Everything revolved around him. Every question was about them. Hell, we're still getting questions about Tom Brady to Todd Bowles yesterday, and I think he's probably tired of hearing it, to be quite honest. And he made a point to say when those questions were asked yesterday, this is not about Tom. This is a whole new culture. This is a whole new team. People want to talk about the residue that he left. I don't think there is much, to be quite honest with you, because last year it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth about Tom Brady. The way he played, the way he handled himself, I think it was very different from the first 2 years. Last year was completely dysfunctional. You saw it, the results on the field, and I think it was in the vibe of the team, to be quite honest. And it started from training camp. Almost day one, Ryan Jensen goes down. Brady's out the next day. Nobody really knows why. Then he's out for 12 days, and it's just it never recovered. This has a much better feel to it. There are no major injuries to talk about. Russell Gage isn't practicing. What else is new? Ryan Jensen didn't practice yesterday, but he's kind of on a schedule. Bowles addressed that yesterday. I don't think that's a big deal yet. Obviously his treatment was a little bit different. We talked about this yesterday with the stem cells, but I don't think Ryan Jensen would be risking his career if he didn't feel this was going to work and he wasn't already healthy. I mean, he's the first one to come back at the end of a season and play in an actual game. That should say enough about where he's at.
Yeah.
So,
and I was going to say too, to the stem cells things, I've done more research on the stem cells to try to understand it, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it that have had it before. And I think you've had stem cells too, correct?
Yes. I have.
And I've heard before, and I don't know if this is something that's going on with Jensen. I don't want to speculate too much, but I've heard, you get the stem cells, and after a few months, in some cases, they start to kind of wear off a little bit, and they might sometimes, in cases, be short-term fixes. So maybe that would kind of explain, if he wasn't completely let's just say Ryan Jensen's not 100%, even though he came back and played in a playoff game, and you might think, oh, well, that was 8 months ago. He should be ready to roll, and he should be out there every day. This stuff is so new and so innovative that it kind of treats everybody that, you think I'm kind of am I coming off the right way there, you think, with the stem cells? Because I hear people talk about that all the time, is sometimes they're not as effective in a long term as they are in the short term sometimes.
Well, I think when you talk about long term, because I could speak, anecdotally to my situation. I got them done 6 years ago, and right now I'm starting to feel the pain that I had 6 years ago, but it lasted 6 years. So, and the initial relief and restructure of my knees was nothing short of phenomenal. So I think when you're talking long term, I think you're talking more 6, 7, 8 years down the line. Then you get you get a tune-up, so to speak, in the stem cells. And this is, listen, this has never been done before. Let's be honest. We reported on this last year. We were the one to break this story. And I've obviously done a lot of research on this, having done it myself in the knees. And this is way different. I mean, mine was more of long-term, old man damage, for over the years. And what it does is rebuild the cartilage, rebuilds the tissue, rebuilds that area in the joint, and it takes the pain away. His is actually repairing, torn ligaments that were actually torn, and resourcing those with your stem cells, or embryonic stem cells, as the case may be. So yeah, it's all new, but the results that they've gotten have been tremendous. So, but we don't know. It is an unknown, and I think that's one of the reasons the Bucs are being careful. And there's really no reason for Ryan Jensen to be going hard right now. Even though it's a new offense for him, he's a seasoned pro, and he's getting all the mental reps that he needs. There's just no sense right now in him practicing on an everyday basis. He's a veteran. He would normally be getting veteran days off anyway. So I don't think it's a big deal at this point. But again, it is an unknown. There's no question it is an unknown. We know what happens with guys when they get, typically with ACL repairs, they'll take a cadaver and put a whole new ACL in there and attach it to the bone, and then it grows in, they grow the strength, they rehab it. This is a much different thing. With stem cells, those torn ligaments repair themselves to their original form, or so that is simplistically speaking, that's the concept. So, which is better? We're going to find out.
Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, again, like you said, there's no reason for him to be out there going super hard at this point through training camp. I mean, there's a reason why he's in the predicament he's in the first place. Remember what happened last year? You had a rookie probably going a little too hard, and during the first day of training camp, but what happens? Ryan Jensen gets hurt, and he's gone for the rest of the season. We saw how that went. Just look at what happened yesterday around the league. Jalen Ramsey, the big acquisition for the Dolphins.
Yep.
Goes down with a non-contact knee injury, and it sounds like he's going to have quite the recovery. The Dolphins aren't going to have him potentially for half the season. So now their big acquisition is not going to be on the field for half the season potentially. You saw what happened with Joe Burrow goes down, and I think everybody, not just at Cincinnati, but the NFL world went, oh my goodness, Joe Burrow. And you immediately point to, did he just tear his Achilles? Did he tear his ACL? And fortunately, it sounds like it's a calf issue and it won't be as serious, but still, there's the point though. It's way too early. We're not even in pads yet. And if you're not 100% to go and you're coming off a major injury, there is no need to push it at all now for this team. They've got to stay healthy.
He's had a torn ACL.
Correct.
That's the same knee. So and he had the conventional surgery. And it's just going to be interesting because, the reason Ryan Jensen went the route he went is because he wanted to come back and play with Tom Brady in his last season. And the only way that was going to happen was through stem cells. And it worked. He came back and played in a playoff game the same year, 6 months, 5.5 months later, 6 months later. I mean, that's unprecedented. That's never been done before with his injury. So stem cells work better. Had he gotten surgery, there's no way he would have been back. No way. So in that case, stem cells did something that's never been done before. So I would say that's a positive. And I'll be honest with you, I was shocked to see him not practicing yesterday. And again, hopefully he'll talk about this in his rehab. But to me, it may just be being super cautious. Like there's really no reason for him to be going every day at this point anyway. So I'm not going to be alarmed about it, but I'm going to be objective about it to say that this has never been done before. We don't know, but the early returns are good, right? No one's ever done what he did last year, come back. And I would be thinking right now, the first call that Jalen Ramsey is making, if he does have a torn ACL, is to Ryan Jensen to say, hey, tell me what you did. Tell me how it worked. Is there a way I can actually come back and play this season? So, and I don't know what his specific injuries, if it's as bad as Ryan's or what have you, but all of this stem cell recovery stuff is new. And at the highest level in professional football, this is going to be the test lab to see how these injuries are treated in the future. And this may be the future of treating these type of injuries. Nobody knows. But so far, what Ryan Jensen did, the proof that we have so far, what Ryan Jensen did has never been done before.
Yeah, and I just checked it too because this just came out actually literally like in the last 5 minutes we've been talking about it. That Jalen Ramsey, Mike McDaniel said he's having surgery on a non-contact meniscus injury today at 1 o'clock.
All right.
So there you go. There's the official diagnosis on Jalen Ramsey.
And by the way, most of these injuries are healed with a hybrid of the two. So even guys that are getting the ACL repairs, the total surgery, they then wrap those tissues in stem cells. I have a friend of mine that works in this industry. I should get him on the air to talk more specifically about this. So they wrap the injury in stem cells, or they inject stem cells, the embryonic stem cells, to help the healing process. So it's kind of a hybrid approach. It's all new. It's all new, and everything. And Ryan Jensen is kind of on the precipice of what we'll see in the future, and we'll see how it works. I know this. They plan on him, being there day one, starting.
Right.
And by the way, Robert Hainsey is a big man. He has gotten bigger, and if he's not playing center, which I don't think he will, I think Ryan Jensen's going to start the season. He needs to be playing. And I looked at Cody Mock this last couple of days. He's very athletic, not huge, not a big guy. He's a little over 300 pounds, but he's not the size of Robert Hainsey. So if they're looking for size, I think this right side of the line is going to be a work in progress with Gedeke and right now Cody Mock. I think it's right as I look at it, the weakness of the team, the right side of the line.
I said it on Wednesday. If anything was going to, alter this team's path this season, it's going to be the right side of that line, because the Shaq Mason loss, I think, is a really big deal that nobody has really kind of dived into. I understand there were cap reasons for why they had to do it, but they knew they were going to get weaker there. And I feel like, small school O linemen coming into the league, there's always going to be an adjustment. And, maybe if Cody Mauch was playing next to Tristan Wirfs at right tackle, you'd feel better about it, but he's playing next to Gedeke.
Right.
Who has one start under his belt? I don't even know if it was actually even a start. I think it was a second half that he got there at right tackle last year.
No, he started against Atlanta.
Right. Yeah. So then he's got one start under his belt at right tackle, and that's it.
Against a team with the worst pass rush in a basically meaningless game.
Right. And whereas I think Hainsey is very versatile on that line, where he could play any of the guard positions and center as well. And the experience that he got playing last year, and I thought held his own more often than not, I would think you'd want that guy playing for you at right guard, in my opinion, because of the experience factor. And you can have somebody that's played in this league for a full season next to Luke Gedeke, whereas you go in with two small school O linemen with not a lot of experience. That has the potential to blow up. And let's say that we get 3 or 4 games in the season, it's not working out, then you turn to Todd Bowles. And how quick is he going to be to adjust? Because remember last year, it took him, 7 weeks to adjust to Luke Gedeke at left guard?
Yes.
So that it all comes back to Todd Bowles then at that point, of how assertive, which is the word we've been using this week to describe Todd Bowles, how assertive are you going to be in making a change and not letting things snowball? But absolutely, that is to me number one concern I have with this team at the moment, is the right side of the offensive line.
That's a great point you make, and I thought it was really the undoing of the season last year. Right when Ryan Jensen went down, what was the first thing I said? Go get somebody. This is Brady's last year. You got to go get an experienced center out there to play, and that would have moved Hainsey to left guard, and Gedeke wouldn't have started. But they felt that they were good, and they were gonna go with the young rookie. That turned out to be a really, really bad decision. And I don't know who they could have gotten at that particular time. There were some people out on the market, some good players, certainly with experience and starting experience. Would that have been a difference maker? I don't know, but what they did was wrong. It didn't work out correctly. They had to replace him with Nick Leverett, who upped his game and played much better. And, that was a bad decision. And so Are we witnessing another bad decision here in terms of offensive line by starting these two guys? Because you got the rookie in Mock, okay, and then you've got basically a rookie in Gedeke, who I know he played last year, but he certainly didn't play right tackle, and he didn't play well. And you've got veterans here on this team that can fill those spots. And if it's me right now, I'm Nick Leverett at right guard, or Austin Stinney and Hainsey at right tackle. I know they want to use Hainsey in the middle, but he's a proven NFL player, and he's gotten bigger. he's not a prototypical right tackle, but I
Right.
just don't have a whole lot of faith in Gedeke right now. So
Yeah, it's definitely a long, not I want to say a long shot that he can succeed there. I'm not going to put that because he did play well in that last game for what it's worth, but it's definitely, I'll say, a big risk to put all your faith into Luke Gedeke, and it's unfortunately because of what you saw at left guard. And I know the positions are completely different, and it was an adjustment. We talked about it to death, but it's still a risk. And by the way, of note, Ryan Jensen is back out there today. I'm watching some clips here right now from practice from Pewter Report, and he looks to be moving okay. Um, I believe he's got double knee braces, like you said, and I think I've seen here he might be speaking after practice today.
oh,
So
good.
maybe we'll get some more insight from Ryan Jensen as the show goes on.
Yeah, and I spoke to Ryan after the playoff game. We played that audio, and I talked to him about his rehab, and he didn't go too much into it, but he was, we did the stem cells, we did the whole thing, and went down somewhere in South America to get it done, which is not illegal, by the way. It's just the FDA has not approved these types of procedures here in the United States, although they're being used all over the world. Make of that what you will. It works, and that's why people and professional athletes are going down there and having to do this. We've had Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center talk about that. He works with some clinics down there that do this because they can't do it here in the United States, which is just bananas because they're having tons of success with it. But we'll hear more from Ryan, and I think we'll get a little bit more insight into what he went through. So we'll hold some of the Bucs sound for just a little bit later, unless there's some you want to get into right away there.
Yeah, we can hold it till later. We got lots of Baker from yesterday, obviously, and a couple things from Trask, but absolutely we can hold that off to a little bit later if you'd like.
All right, I want to get into some Rays talk as well. The name that we've been hearing now is a name that gets me excited, and that's Paul Goldschmidt of the Cardinals, a longtime Arizona Diamondback. This is the type of hitter I'm talking about. This is a proven veteran hitter playing for a team in the Cardinals that's going nowhere. He just hit his 17th home run of the season last night. Looking at his numbers this year, his WAR is at 2.8, hitting 283, 55 RBIs, 18 home runs, 847 OPS, and 131 OPS plus. Guy's a legitimate former MVP, 7-time All-Star. What is he, 30 what now?
I think he's like 35, I want to say.
35, and I'm not sure of his contract situation, if you can look that up. But
I'll get that here.
Look, this is the type of guy that I would love to have. He's a proven hitter. He would bring some credibility into that clubhouse, which I think is much needed.
Yeah, not to cut you off real quick, but he's on a 5-year, $130 million deal. However, it's just the rest of this year and then next year.
And what is it for next year?
Next year, his salary is at $26 million. So you would definitely have to commit to him being obviously the highest paid player you've ever had by a substantial amount, and you get it for one more year.
It's about time. It's about time. Guy's productive. He's a leader. MVP. This is exactly the guy they need in that clubhouse, and in the middle of the lineup. And if you're saying, well, that's a lot of money, it's not a lot of money for a proven slugger and a guy that can go into the postseason and you can count on to get a big hit. We don't have that guy. We don't have that guy right now. And you put him in the middle of that lineup, and everybody gets better around him. And that lineup gets so much thicker immediately. And again, a presence in the clubhouse for guys like Wander Franco, for guys like Randy Arozarena, and who, by the way, was in the Cardinals organization. They probably didn't play together for any amount of time, maybe a little bit. I don't know if there's a crossover or not, but this is the guy. I don't want to be talking about some of these other slapdick prospects. We're not interested. This is the big name. This is the guy you go after. This is the guy, because you have control of him next year at a big number, but it's a time you spent some freaking money. And they said they were going to spend some freaking money at the deadline and for next year. So what's the drawback? And this is the guy that you give up more prospects for, because you're going to have him for next year as well.
Yeah, and if you've noticed around the league now, we said that the end of this week is when things were going to really start heating up, and that has certainly happened. There's teams, because there's the weird thing about the market this year on the trades, You have like so many teams that are just like in kind of like within like 4 or 5 games of like the playoffs. It's really kind of bunched up in both the AL and the NL. And so it's not really a big seller's market because these teams still feel like, I mean, look at the Angels. All of a sudden, the Angels have started playing well, and they said, you know what, we're going for it. And they're making trades. They acquired
Right.
Giolito. And, I saw the Giolito trade, and a lot of people said, oh, well, if this is what they saw the return to the White Sox for Giolito, who's a rental, and they went, wow, if that's going to be the going rate, then maybe the Rays should stand pat and not overload the farm. But listen, everybody looked at the fact that the White Sox got the number 2 and 3 prospect from the Angel system. But I'm here to tell you, prospects are all not made the same. Because if you stuck those 2 guys into the Rays farm, the number 2 prospect they gave up would have been like the 5th or 6th prospect for the Rays. Okay.
Right.
So it's a bit different. And the third guy that went, he's not even in the top 100 when it comes to prospects in MLB. So
Wow.
was it really a steep price that the Angels paid to go get Lucas Giolito? I would say no. I did see the report yesterday that the price for a Lance Lynn, for whatever reason, is too high, and that may be forcing the Rays to look elsewhere. And personally, I don't have a problem with that. If somebody's going to try to get a Curtis Mead out of me or something like that for a Lance Lynn,
Not for a
respectfully,
Lance Lynn. No.
exactly.
No.
I would have no problem if you want to
100%
trade
no.
Curtis Mead, but if it's for Lance Lynn,
No.
100% no. I think
No.
you could do a lot
For
better.
Giolito, yes.
For Giolito, we can
It's a
talk.
maybe. It's even
Yeah.
just a maybe.
But
because
for
of the
Lance
rental.
Lynn, no. So if the Rays, I'll give them credit there. If they found out, because it's not just them, it's the Dodgers as well. And that's a very well-run organization. So if they're in lockstep that the price is too high, that's fine. You can pivot because now you're seeing teams that are starting to kind of decide what they want to do, like the Mets, for example, who I would have to think that almost every asset is probably on the market for them. You saw the move they made yesterday. They traded David Robertson to the Marlins, who, by the way, that's a name I would have liked to have seen in a Rays uniform.
Yep.
A guy who, in his last 100 appearances, is a 2.2 ERA and 34 saves and has pitched in a lot of big games over his career and is a veteran. No doubt about it. He would have been a good name, but that tells me now the Mets are open for business. So then I go look at their roster, and I'm like, okay, well, who's available there? I think probably the Pete Alonsos of the world are probably more so, off the market, I'd have to think. I don't think they want to blow it up that big, but, maybe there's some good value on some of these older guys. Maybe, who knows if they move the needle, but I think we would agree that the Rays probably need to make 2 or 3 moves, whereas just to 1. So if you can get a veteran guy to plug in the lineup that's better than what you got right now, you take it. But you see what the Padres are doing. It seems like I saw yesterday, it seems like Hader, it's not a matter of if, but when he's going to get dealt. So do the Rays pivot to a Josh Hader and see if they want him to be the big splash in the back of the bullpen? So many scenarios going on, but there's no doubt about it. This weekend, it's going to heat up, and I think the Rays are going to be pretty active here.
Boy, if you had told me right now that we gave up, 2 of our top 5 prospects for Robertson and Goldschmidt, I'd be okay with it. I'd be okay with it because it means you're going for it. You're taking advantage of the start that you had. This team radically needs 2 very, very high-performing players in those 2 positions. It's a big bat and closer for me. I don't want to trade for Lance Lynn. Unless you're giving me an impact starter, I don't want to make the trade. He's not an impact starter anymore, certainly not this season.
Well, I think the thought process behind getting another starting pitcher is you're essentially rolling with, I guess, 4 right now, right? How much of a role will Taj play in the postseason is the big
He
thing.
won't.
And
He'll be a
eventually,
long reliever.
you have to think, too, Taj is going to hit an innings limit.
Yep.
It's coming. We're going to get pretty close to the time where he's going to hit an innings limit. So how much can you count on him? So really, you have 3. And if you paid attention to what happened on Wednesday, Zach Eflin, who's had knee injuries in the past, goes down with knee discomfort. Haven't heard an update there. I don't know if you saw something yesterday. I was a little off the grid. But I haven't heard an update on Zach Eflin. So you have to be a little concerned there. And outside of those dudes, especially with Yanni Chirinos no longer in the fold, they don't really have much depth of starting pitchers to kind of plug in there, unless you want to see Zach Littell get it. And I know they're going to give Zach Littell an extended look, but let's be real. Am I putting my faith in Zach Littell? The answer is no. The Calvin Fauchés of the world, the Cooper Criswells of the world, those are the guys that you have right now to cover for the starting rotation. So that's the thought process behind getting another starter in here, is you have some backup here in case you have an injury, and hopefully that will take some of the pressure off of your top 3 right now. So I think absolutely you need a big bat. You need to go get somebody in the back end of the bullpen and then get me like a number 4 starter. And that's why I was okay with Lance Lynn, but if the price is going to be what they're saying, then I'll look elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they might be able to get by without it. If the expenditures to me right now are, I think even big bat is bigger than closer, because without a big bat they got no chance. They got zero chance. This offense has no chance, and I mean zero chance. They're never going to be what they were in the first 2 months. Never. I'm sorry. I don't see it. That was an anomaly to me.
Yeah.
No question about whether the rest of the league is caught up. These guys aren't as good as they were in those first 2 weeks. Whatever it is, you can't count on that. You can't just sit here and stand pat with this offense and say, we'll be fine. No.
And by the way, again, the 2 guys that make that, there's 3 guys that really make that offense go, and it's Yandy Diaz, Wander Franco, and Randy Arozarena. Yandy looks like he's going to avoid an IL stint, and hopefully they get him back in there this weekend against Houston for a huge series here. Obviously, the Rays need to feel good about themselves sometime before, sooner before later, obviously. Huge series against Houston. But Yandy Diaz is obviously your consistent threat. Randy, I would attest to tell you right now that I think the home run derby, there's something going on with his swing. Clearly, that's it. But so I think Randy eventually will figure it out, and Yandy's going to be steady. But the other guy that right now is not figuring it out is Mr. Wander Franco, who we've been talking more about lately. And I tell you what, I didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday, but I'm sure you might have talked about it yesterday, maybe the play that involved him in Wednesday's game. Those are the things that get me irritated more than anything. If
Which
you're
one was that?
the play later in the game where he hits a ground ball and he's just kind of jogging, if that. It's a light jog down to first base, and it was a bad throw. And even when it was apparent it was a bad throw, he still didn't even speed up, but he got on base. And then I think it was Randy who came up, who popped one up, and I don't know, he wasn't reading it. I have no idea, but then he makes like zero effort to come back to first base, and he gets doubled up. And right away, that inning is essentially over. Those are the things that bother me more than anything. You're slumping at the plate. I understand it's a 162-game season. It's going to happen, whatever. But when you're out there and you're also a player who has already been benched for 2 games, called out by your own manager for not being a good teammate, and then I see you dogging it on the field, those are the things, it's very unacceptable. I don't care how old you are. Can you hustle? Because you want to know what really bothers me is I saw in the series prior when they faced the Orioles, another top prospect, and Gunnar Henderson, who's the same age as Wander Franco, what is he doing? He's hustling all around the bases, making things happen. Why is it Gunnar Henderson can do those things, but Wander Franco can't? Those are the things. It doesn't take anything, but it doesn't take much skill to just have effort, And when you're struggling at the plate, make an impact somewhere else on the field. And Wander Franco chose not to do that during Wednesday's game. So those are the things that bother me, and I have to think that bothers Kevin Cash as well.
You put it so well. Absolutely. It bothers Kevin Cash, and that. And let's just go ahead and say the Rays' strategy to get him going has not worked. Not worked. It just, the strategy was, okay, first we're going to take it public. We'll put it out in the press, and we'll see if that makes him play harder, play better. Didn't work. Then they suspended him. Let's see if that makes him play harder, play better. And he even talked about it before he went out to the All-Star game, that maybe he wasn't selected because of his behavior and he knows he's got to be better. Hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. I saw on Twitter some people saying the Rays, threw him under the bus. Maybe he feels that they didn't have his back and they made it public. I'm not on the inside enough to know which one of those is correct, but my gut feeling is that the Rays tried everything they possibly could do before they took it public. He wasn't responding. So at some point you got to hold the player accountable and see if he, it's got, like we said, the Leonard Fournette incident from a few years ago. At some point, no matter who they are, you got to say to them, look, you're not giving us what we want. Well, and if you're not going to give it, you're going to go.
Somebody in this, I've always said this, the best way to police things is you need somebody in the clubhouse to do it. It needs to come from a player. I think player to player is the greatest.
Paul Goldschmidt.
It's the greatest form of accountability. I think the greatest example everybody uses around here is Cliff Floyd on that 2018. Yes. Everybody says that Cliff Floyd was that guy. I don't know who that guy is on this team.
They don't have one.
Sometimes I think it's Yandy because, I'd like to think it is because he's older, right? And
But look what happened to Yandy when he tried to do that last year with a Rosarena.
right, and I don't know. I mean, I know Randy and Wander obviously have had their differences. I think that's clear for everybody to see. Is it Randy trying to go to Wander and want? It's not, the message is not receiving. I don't know. Obviously, we're not in the clubhouse to really know. We're just kind of speculating and trying to draw up reasonings here. But it's got to come from within. And if that guy's not in that clubhouse, well, guess what? You have to go find somebody that can come into the clubhouse and straighten that out. So, is that guy, and I know I said that I was against this because of his contract situation and a little bit of his age, but I will say a Salvador Perez, and the Rays do need a catcher. There's no doubt about that, and he fits the bill of being a big bopper in your lineup and a catcher. But you know what he's also done? He's played in the league for 13 years, and he's also won a World Series. So you want to talk about veteran leadership. He does fit that bill, so maybe that lessens, the impact of the contract that you're inheriting, that it's more than that. So, and he's obviously an Hispanic player, and I think he could get through to Wander and some of these young guys. So I don't know who that name is, but that definitely needs to be addressed because, again, you can slump at the plate. Everybody does that. But when you're not given an effort on the field, and this is now 2 times this week with your 2 biggest names on your team not given effort, that's so alarming right now to what I'm seeing with this team.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I don't know what it's going to take to get him going. They've tried everything. He's just going to have to grow up. And I think you're right. It's going to take someone from the clubhouse side to make it happen because clearly management has not been able to make it happen. So there you are. By the way, Shohei Ohtani, how did he do yesterday?
Oh my goodness. We like almost like are immune to this at the moment. Like we don't understand what we're seeing. What you saw yesterday was the greatest day any baseball player has ever had.
Yeah.
That happened yesterday.
That's fair to say.
That was the greatest day. A complete game shutout in game 1 and then 2 home runs in game 2. That was the greatest day a baseball player has ever had in 150 years of this game.
To lead the American League, by the way, in home runs, 39 now?
He's got 38.
38 home runs?
Leads the league in triples, all those things.
It's insane. Is he the MVP this year, Nick Geddes?
I'm starting to come around to what you said before. It doesn't matter what everybody else does. If Shohei Ohtani just does this every year, he's going to win the MVP every single season.
If you're a top 10 – is he a top 10 pitcher, though?
I don't think so, no. I think that he is
But he's a number 1 starter.
I think he's I don't know if this is a hot take. I think he's a top end 2. I don't know if he's nearly as consistent enough to be a 1. His stuff is a 1. If you're going to tell me who has the best stuff in the league, I'm going to put Shohei Ohtani up there in the top 3. But stuff doesn't mean everything. And I know he was fighting a blister the last couple starts, and that kind of inflated his numbers a little bit. But clearly,
that great team behind him.
Yeah, and clearly that went away though for the Tigers game, which is not a great team. They're going nowhere. They're dead in the water. But this is the big leagues, and it's hard to throw. How many guys throw complete game shutouts nowadays? Not many. Not many. So I'm not going to discredit it. But yeah, I think he's probably maybe a top 15 pitcher, but no doubt about it, he's the best hitter in baseball.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, BJ Daniels is going to join us, USF legend, Super Bowl champion, will join us. So always great to talk to BJ, somebody I've known since he was just a wee little boy. His dad and I used to play basketball together, and BJ would come hang out at the Moore Center at FSU and turned into just a tremendous football player and even better man. So we'll talk to BJ Daniels when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Get that personal attention you so richly deserve. And Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Back live at TPC at the USF Football Foundation Golf Tournament here when we come back. What's up, brother?
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area modern medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by. Never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Here we are live at the USF football fundraiser here. We're going to play a little golf out here at TPC, and look who we have here. The great USF legend, BJ Daniels, joining us now. What's up, BJ? How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, good. For those of you who don't know, I've told this story many times on the show, but I know you back to you were 5 or 6 years old. Your father, Bruce, and I used to play pickup basketball almost every day, Monday through Friday, at Tully Gym at FSU and then the Moore Center. And you would come out on your off days from school and shoot around with us and play. And then lo and behold, I come to Tampa, and then many years later, I'm like, He's the starting quarterback in USF. What a journey it's been. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you as well.
You look like you could still play, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I still get calls from the XFL every day.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Yeah. So do you want to play?
No, I'm done. We spoke on this earlier. I don't want to get hit anymore. So
you and Tom Brady both.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a brutal game, isn't it?
It is, truly. But I've enjoyed it. It's given me so much. It's been a blessing. So I'm gonna take those tools and use them. But I'm gonna stay off the gridiron for now. I'm good.
Hey, let's go back to your days at USF. I mean, these were some of the great days at South Florida. The football program obviously has fallen on some hard times recently, but I think what you showed and Coach Levitt showed and Quentin showed is that you can have a big-time program here. The pieces are here, and now with the new stadium coming on, I mean, there's nothing that USF doesn't have except being in a big conference, and hopefully that's where we're headed, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could only imagine what our on-campus stadium would have been if I would have had the opportunity to play in it. Matt Grothy, I can date it back to Marquell Blackwell. I mean, Quentin Flowers is amazing. So, it's an exciting time, and I really hope that we can create that atmosphere that I grew up around. I grew up on Florida State's campus, so just having to walk across the street, across the track, and get a chance to see Charlie Ward and them play, and them play, and just the atmosphere that campus had. I mean, I'm excited to just see what we can do with that.
You know, and that's the thing. I've always thought that, it's expensive to obviously do a stadium, and you're in money raising now, and we'll get to that. Yeah. And I said, you're playing in a Super Bowl stadium, just make it work. I mean, you played West Virginia there in 2009, and there was 60,000. We should be able to make this work. Mm-hmm. But then you see what UCF did, and I'm like, and that's a rinky-dink stadium. Let's just be honest about it. It's a rinky-dink stadium. This stadium you guys are building is going to be a hell of a lot better. And I think it's the key to the whole deal now. I've changed my tune on this, and I hope we can build that collegiate atmosphere because it's just so hard to do at Raymond James.
It is. A lot of students have to travel 30 minutes to make it to the games and 30 minutes to make it back. So financially that could be a strain on them, but to have an on-campus stadium where you can just walk out your dorm room, be a part of a tailgate, and then walk right into a stadium, I mean, I think we're going to create an atmosphere that obviously we've never had before. So I kind of imagine our first game in 2026 being like the old Sombrero. We had our first game and we sold out. So I'm excited for this.
Go back to your playing days. What are your best memories of your playing days at USF?
Number one has to be Florida State. Just because I grew up wanting to play in that stadium one day and watching Charlie Ward, and he was my idol as a quarterback growing up. But on the flip side, playing in that stadium on a different team. Yeah. And having an opportunity to win.
And whooping their ass. I was there that day as a Seminole. Yeah. And who was your safety?
John Legist.
Was it Legist?
John Legist and Nate Allen.
I think it was Nate, though. Mm-hmm. It was maybe first or early in the game. Mm-hmm. Somebody came through the line, and he lit him up.
Yeah.
And do you remember that? And I was like, oh, shit. As an FSU fan, I'm like, oh, shit. These boys have come to play.
For sure.
And you physically owned FSU that day, and that was an eye-opener to me.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us have had chips on our shoulders. So we were probably undersized, under-recruited. Coach Levitt, one of the guys that were hungry to play football. Not the biggest stars and recruits, guys that really loved the game, and I think that showed on that Saturday.
Yeah, that was a fun day for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What about your dad?
Oh, man, he won't admit it, but he cried.
That's fantastic. And we remember those big wins at Auburn. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've met Coach Alex Gullish, and your thoughts on him and what he can bring to this program.
Yeah, he seems to be, I've said this before about Coach Levitt, very fiery, kind of feisty guy, a guy that cares about ball, also cares about his players. And, I think the players will have a lot of respect for him because at the end of the day, he wants results. And you love a coach that can push you into that realm. So hopefully he can continue to do that with these new players we're bringing in as well.
And let's talk about your pro career as well. Drafted by the 49ers in the 7th round, and then went to Seattle, played receiver, and won a Super Bowl there. What was that like?
Dream come true. I mean, I remember, not having an opportunity to win the Big East. And I cried like a baby when I didn't accomplish that feat, on top of breaking my ankle my senior year. But to have the opportunity to make it to the NFL, to also win a Super Bowl my rookie year, dream come true. I never won a state championship in high school. So it was one of those things where, all of the work that you put in, it finally pays off. So to have that accomplishment, to have a chance to go to the White House, the chance to meet, the president and have so many good teammates. I mean, it was amazing.
B.J. Jano's joining us here, and playing with Russell Wilson, I bet was special.
It was.
He was at his prime then, at that.
Oh yeah. The coolest part is to see a quarterback prepare for the best game in the world.
Yeah.
So the way he prepared, I mean, I took pieces from him, and I tell everyone all the time, if I studied like he did, I'd probably be a doctor.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
What do you think about his chances with Sean Payton? I like his chances to bounce back this year. I really do.
Me too. I think you got two guys who, Russell's athletic ability, Sean Payton's creativity. I think that matches. Because Russell is a guy you got to keep on the move. You don't want to have him sit back in the pocket and do 5 and 7 step drops. That's not him. So get him out in space, put him in shotgun, allow him to do zone read. I think he's going to, be successful. So.
All right, let's zero in a little bit on this program. Now, I asked you about Coach Alex. Now, this is a whole new world for college athletics. I mean, you've played the game as a player when there wasn't NIL,
right.
And now you have NIL. And first and foremost, how do you think that's working for the players? I've said this for a long time. It's long overdue. I don't like the fact that it's the wild, wild west right now, and there's no there's obviously a bill in Congress now that is going to hopefully bring it all under one umbrella, and I hope it's fair to the players, because I get scared when the government gets involved in anything. But at this point, there needs to be some type of governing body to rein this in a little bit and make it an even playing field for everybody, because it's certainly not, right?
Right. No, it's not even. It's not even at all. But at the same time, I do think these players deserve it. I remember when I was in college, $5 was a great weekend for me.
Come on, man. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh yeah. Matt Grothy can tell you the same thing. It was a great weekend.
And this is what got me going 20 years ago when I was going to bowl games with FSU players, and the alumni and media are, we have hospitality suites, and we're drinking free drinks and eating lobster and shrimp, and the guys are hanging out in the hallway and they can't even come in and have a burger. I'm like bringing them out food. I mean, I'm like, what are you drinking? I'm like, it was. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And so, you're around people. The program's got money. Everybody's got money except you guys. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. But I tell people the stories all the time. About the college athlete who dreamt of making it to the NFL. He doesn't. He has his degree, but he's going to spend that 2 to 3 months trying to transition to find a job.
Right.
So without the financial means that he could have had with NIL, how do you kickstart him into his career?
Right.
So I do see benefits in it. It is the Wild Wild West, like you said. I do think some numbers are flabbergasted as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do see a positive benefit in it.
Yeah, and I think there also needs to be a component of paying the athletes as well.
Yeah.
I've been a long-time component of taking, even if it's $25,000 a year, put that into a trust account.
Right.
And you can use that money for living expenses while you're in school, a certain part of it, and then when you graduate, you get the rest, and you can use that money to invest in a business. Give them a head start, a real head start in life that can help them for all the work that they've put in and all the revenue that they've created for these programs. That just seems like a fair thing to do.
Absolutely.
Not outrageous, but fair. They can graduate with $125,000, maybe some bonus money in there, and that can give them a start. And plus, healthcare, at least for the next 5 to 10 years, right?
Oh, for sure. And I do think what you said is a great point. When they graduate, give it to them.
Right.
Not throughout college. I mean, I remember my first NFL check that I received. I couldn't even show you a T-shirt from that era, So, it's just, I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to handle it when I first got it. So to give it to a kid that's 18, 19, 20, still in college, still naive and trying to figure out his own life.
It's a little crazy.
Yeah, I think the graduation part is important. Then you give it to them and allow them to kickstart their life, just so at least they have the education, to follow, and support that.
Yeah.
So.
BJ Daniels joining us here. So what are you doing now? I know you're raising money for the university, but it's not NIL, which is let's talk that through. How are you guys handling raising money for the school, but yet also trying to take care of your players as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine line. Not every donor, every person you meet in the community cares about either or. So people that care about the stadium and benefits, those are the people that can help us build the stadium. The ones that want to support the players, that's a whole different category. And typically it's the ones that understand college athletics and what it's like. It's hard for most people to understand, well, you're on full scholarship, you have room and board, what else do you need? I mean,
A
well,
lot.
a lot,
A lot, actually.
You know,
Yes.
toothbrush, toiletries,
Yeah,
things
gas
like that.
money,
Gas money.
a little expensive these days. I mean, everything's ridiculously expensive these days. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's a fine line.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking to USF fans and boosters out there, what's your elevator pitch to them to say, hey, we need some help here? What do you tell the donors?
Yeah. I mean, just part of it is, everyone talks about USF and its glory days in the past.
Yeah.
Name a quarterback, you can name an era, it's been great. But at the end of the day, how do we get back to that? And right now, college athletic has completely changed. Mm-hmm. So in order for us to keep up, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
We can't compete with the Joneses or the Alabamas or the Floridas or Florida States of the world if we're not keeping up with what the culture is changing too. So,
financial culture. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, if you take a young man or young woman who's in college athletics, like myself, who had $5 for the weekend, yet and still you have an opportunity to go start and play somewhere else for $100,000 or plus, you might want to benefit and help not only yourself but your family.
Yeah.
So we have to keep up. We have to keep up, and some people didn't embrace it when it first came. I for one wasn't the biggest fan of it originally, just because I felt like there should be some rules in place. But at the end of the day, this is where we are, and I think that we have to embrace it.
All right, partner. Well, good luck to you. You're such a great role model for this school. You are such a great ambassador, and I hope you stick around a while. Are you interested in coaching at all?
Yeah. I mean, if Coach Golders calls me, I might step out on that field.
There's some good money in it. I heard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I got to ask you about your old receivers coach in Seattle. Is Dave Canales, who's now the OC at the Bucs. I think he's doing a hell of a job. He hasn't called a play yet, but he's won everybody over because he's got such great charisma. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah. When I was in Seattle, when I first got with the team as a quarterback, he was tasked with teaching me the playbook at a fast, accelerated pace. And he did a really good job of doing that because I was able to absorb it and make the team because I came from San Francisco. Right. So I got thrown in the fire right away. So, family guy, faith-based guy. He means what he says. He's honest. He's one of the coaches that even when I wasn't playing with Seattle anymore, he still called me just to check on me. I saw him about 2 weeks ago at Fresh Kitchen in Midtown, and he's there with his wife and kids. And he's never changed. He's never changed. Very humble, and I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
He's a great dude, as are you, my friend. So congratulations on all your success, man. It's always great to see you. And tell your dad, hey, Bruce, $5 on the weekend? That's all you get? You couldn't give him a little bit more allowance? Come on, man. Come out the wallet a little bit, will you, partner?
Please.
All right, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll hear from Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask as they are battling for that Bucs quarterback job. We're live from TPC of Tampa Bay for the USF Football Foundation fundraiser here. Back in 3. Stay with us.
For all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches, at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595 or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa. And for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
No, let's do it. I don't know if there's any NIL money in it, but we can.
All right, we're back here on the JP Peterson Show. Great interview there with.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I muted you there.
Hey, we just set up a weekly thing with BJ. He's going to come on and talk college football with us.
Well, perfect. Because I was just saying
we're
right.
Trying
there.
to get him some NIL money though from Nooch over here. So we're the deal's going down as we speak.
Well, I'm not a college athlete, nor do I have many athletic chops in me, but I could use some NIL money too. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm out there, but no, I was just about to say, I'm like, that was such a great little discussion there with BJ, and definitely learned a lot. And I love the answer there. I forgot that he played with Dave Canales.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that like real authentic answer there about who Dave Canales is, and it just reaffirms that he is who he says he is in the media.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dave's going to be a head coach someday, but it's hard to get going, and it's going to be an interesting situation because if this, as much as I think the Bucs can win 9-10 games, there are scenarios that it could go really, really wrong. Like we talked about the right side of the offensive line. I don't like where they're headed with that, and that could be a disaster.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who the OC is. If you've got an offensive line that's getting overwhelmed,
you got no shot.
Yeah.
I don't think that will happen. I think they'll figure it out. I think the offense can be. I don't expect it to be a top 10 offense this year. It could be, but I think if they could just get it in the 15 to 20 range with this defense, they can win some ball games.
You know what really was going on there during the while you were talking with BJ? I was monitoring the end of Bucs camp, and I saw a couple updates from the computer report here from Scott Reynolds, and we talked about the need to have competition at certain spots, and obviously the biggest one's the quarterback. You know what I love seeing is practice ending with a 2-minute touchdown drive from Baker Mayfield, and then Kyle Trask following it up with a 2-minute touchdown drive of his own. I love seeing that. And I saw the names. It sounds like they were throwing to everybody that was on the field. It wasn't just singling in on one guy, finding open spots in the defense. Love to see that. Even down to the kickers. The kickers each went 8 for 8 or 9 for 9. Rodrigo Blankenship and Chase McLaughlin. And that's a competition we haven't really talked about, but we don't have a number one kicker right now. But they both made all their kicks in the session to end it. And of note, they both made their 58-yarders to end practice. And when was the last time the Bucs made a field goal that was that long?
It's been a while, Ryan Suckup. Yes.
So, again, competition right there. And those are two spots that have big competition going on because it's only going to be one guy, obviously. And good to see they both ended practice on a perfect note there.
Yeah. That's you want to. We can talk all we want about Dave Canales and the roster and the players that they have on this offense, but until they start doing it, and listen, they're going to get better and they're going to get tested against this defense on a daily basis. This is going to make them better because this defense. I mean, you're talking about two really good corners, some safeties. I think that can. Obviously Winfield's one of the better young safeties in this league, and Neal I think is going to be a guy that really surprises. I mean, you got two, supposedly a great linebacker tandem, Devin White and Levante David, if Devin wants to play. I mean, and this defensive line, I think, is underrated, and they're faster. So this is going to be a good test for this offense. And, that's good news. If they can execute like that and get it in the end zone, that's great news. All right, let's get into some of the sound from yesterday, and we'll start with Baker Mayfield. Asked the question that's been asked of him many, many times, and I think it's really interesting. His answer here is asked if he, has a chip on his shoulder, if last year kind of humbled him a little bit. So here's Baker Mayfield from yesterday's presser.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. But to just continue, the question was about the media narratives that are going on around this team, and if Baker Mayfield is taking it personal or anything.
I've been off social for almost 2 years now, so I'm wired different. I don't need anybody on the outside to tell me what I can and can't do. I know what I'm capable of. I got hurt in Cleveland. That's why my run ended there. And then last year it was, it was what it was in Carolina. But everything happens for a reason. So I'm here now, and I'm ready to go. I mean, this team. You talk about skeptics and what the narrative is around this team. I think it speaks to our veterans and the people that were a part of the run for the Super Bowl and the success they've had recently, more so than me. I'll always have a chip on my shoulder. That's how I approach every day. But it's good to be around a room and a group that has had success, continue to have that mentality as well. So it's a good fit, but we're going to write our own story. You can't carry on anything from the past years. You might internalize and think about it, but nothing translates to the next year.
I think it's great, first of all, that he's been off social media for 2 years. I wish I could do that, Baker.
Literally.
Wish I could do that.
I had one day off of it yesterday, and I felt so much healthier already mentally.
Right? I mean, all the garbage that goes in, and especially, and I've always said that about football players or any athlete. Why would you be on social media? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Have social media people do your branding. Put some things out there every once in a while. You can, obviously you can make money. You can build your brand through social media. I think that's great. But but reading it, being on it, interacting with fans on it. Are you out of your mind? Like, what do you? No, get off of it completely. I think that shows a level of maturity to me. That again goes back to what you talked at the beginning of the show. He carries himself like a professional starting quarterback, and I like that. And I think he showed it right there. Yep. And by the way, this team has been to the playoffs 3 straight years and won a Super Bowl. The deep run, and of course last year was not so good. But how many teams in this league have been to the playoffs 3 years in a row? I don't know off the top of my
usually
head.
there's a 60-70% turnover, I feel
50% turnover every year on average. So I would say that it maybe 2 or 3 tops.
I mean, how long has the Bucs been a franchise now? Are we approaching 50 years, right?
Yes.
I believe they've only been to the playoffs 3 times in a row, twice.
Yeah.
I'd have to think they're in the late 90s, early 2000s. They probably went 4 or 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
And
then
they
went, 5 out of 6 under Dungy, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6. Yeah.
Right. And then you just had this 3-year stretch right here making the playoffs. So even in this own franchise's history, it's only happened twice in almost a span of 50 years. So what does that tell you?
It's very difficult in this league to do that. So, and that's just not Tom Brady, folks. I hate to tell you this, but it's not Tom Brady. I was talking to Ira Kaufman about this the other day. The reason Tom Brady chose the Buccaneers was because of the roster. Yeah,
right.
Only 2 teams in the league. So who would that be?
Wasn't it the Chargers that wanted him at the time?
The Bills? Bills, Chiefs, and Bucs. Yeah, Bills, Chiefs, and
Bucs.
Bucs.
Yeah, and the Chiefs are the ones who have won the world championship, coming off there, and the Bills are a powerhouse right now.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, this roster is not bad. It's not bad. Now, they've lost some players over the years. I mean, would I like to have JPP in his prime back? Yes, I would. Would I like to have Ndamukong Suh from 2 years ago? Sure. But the league's changing. You need to be faster up front. Those 2 guys got too old, got too broken down. Have they replaced them with guys of equal caliber? No. But I think Kancey has a chance to be a disruptor. I think that makes everybody else better. But the rest of the core of these guys are here.
Right.
And that means something. And I think Baker notices that and realizes that.
Yeah, other things with Baker, we'll listen to his general thoughts here on the quarterback competition. Thought he gave a great answer, so we'll listen to that one.
Competition-wise, we're trying to make the QB room as good as possible. That I've always said, franchise will go as the QB room does, how they gel, how they get everybody, how they communicate, get everybody on the same page, how they lead. And so right now, like I said, I'm going to approach each day the same, no matter what position I'm in. I'm going to try and get everybody better. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to work my tail off to obviously start. That's the goal. But to get everybody else better around me, to raise that competition level and that standard as well. And so, but yeah, being in different places and experiences always helps you. If you don't take lessons from that and learn from it, you're doing it wrong. So obviously I've taken lessons from that and understanding how to approach the game from different seats, as you mentioned. But yeah, I'm approaching it like I want to be the starter.
I mean, obviously that would be his approach. But again, this competition makes everybody better. And I think you're going to see, you're going to get the best out of both of these guys. No question about it.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I know it's only 3 practices and shorts and all that, but I've heard a lot of people, and you could probably attest to this, that have said that Kyle Trask I'm speaking to now, because I feel like we've unfairly closed the book on his chances of being a starter for this team, right? Just because we're looking at all the clues that tells us it's Baker. But even I'm seeing people today that are like, man, Kyle Trask looks even different now than what he looked during the OTA and mandatory minicamp period, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Where it looks like, as you said, he thought he had more zip on the ball. He's even admitted that I think he lost 5 or 10 pounds.
Yep.
So he's a lot more, nimble, I guess. And he even said yesterday that, there's plays now where if he was in college, defensive lineman would have got him, 10 yards in the backfield. And now he feels like he's able to run away from these guys and at the very least get to the sideline, pick up a yard or 2 and move on to the next down. And we know that those little things in the NFL are crucial. And also in the situations, obviously not throwing ducks across the middle of the field, a la Mr. Winston, and just learning to live another down. So hopefully it looks like Kyle Trask, maybe we shouldn't close the book on him yet or close the door on him here, that he has a shot to win this quarterback competition, because he looks like, and as I said, you need to see him with the mentality of I can be the starter. And that's the reason why you don't name a starting quarterback this early. And I think that process is working out so well for the Bucs right now.
All right, let's hear from Kyle Trask then, shall we? You got a couple of clips you want to set up from yesterday?
Yeah, we'll go with Kyle Trask here. We'll get his thoughts here as well on the quarterback competition. And also of note, it's his first time throwing to the ones in this offense, if you can believe it, in his 3rd year here.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
I think the quarterback room as a whole has been doing a great job of just, spitting ideas off of each other. And, as cliche as it sounds, we're not really competing against each other, obviously on the outside, there's its own perspective. But, as cliche as it sounds, you just want to compete with yourself and make sure you're progressing every single day. Everyone's going to make different mistakes, so we all can get better in different things. So I think the key to, a good competition is just everyone just, trying to better themselves every single day. And, that's been my main focus.
A little cliche. I would agree with that. But, the one thing you don't want to do is get up there and start, chirping at the other guy or making it personal or anything like that.
I think you would agree with this. I'd rather my quarterback get up there and not make headlines.
Right.
If you talk for 20 minutes and I don't have a single headline or a single clickbaity thing to go to, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
out of my quarterback. And I'll give Trask this. He might not be as out there as Baker Mayfield, personality standpoint, but in a different way, he does speak like a pro. And at the end of the day, that's all I can ask out of my if I want a franchise quarterback, that's what I really want.
And Bowles has said this multiple times when talking about this quarterback competition, and it really has very little to do with how loud you are or how boisterous you are out there in terms of your leadership. If you can't play, you can't be a leader. It's that simple. I mean, Jameis used to say that as well. He knew it. He said, yes, I'm a fiery guy. I'm competitive. I'm a guy that's going to, lead the pregame speech or whatever. I'm going to be out there. But if I can't play, I can't be a leader. And that's true. If you keep making mistakes and put your team in a bad way, nobody wants to hear from you. Nobody, as we saw with JPP in that last year with Jameis, nobody wants to hear from you, even if they like you. It's like, shut up and stop turning the ball over at some point. You're not going to follow that guy because he's leading you down the wrong path.
Yeah, and then to the flip side of that, and even Bowles said this yesterday, like it's not even like determining who wins it. It's not as simple as, okay, well, one guy went 10 of 14 during this period of practice and the other guy went 6 of 14. So the guy who went 10 and 14 is obviously going to win. It's not just that. He talked about, that mental aspect and carrying yourself, being a leader, all those things you just mentioned. It's so much more than that. So, yes, you have to play. Yeah. At the end of the day, you have to be talented and be able to run the offense, but you've got to be able to lead a team and the mental aspect of football as well, which is almost as important as the athletic aspect going into it as well.
Yeah, and there's other things besides statistics. And the biggest statistic is W. And that's what, again, some quarterbacks going 5 for 14. Well, the 5 of those plays were dead, and you threw the ball away. That's winning football because you didn't turn it over. All right, but if the 5 that you completed, 2 were touchdowns and 2 were for big first downs. That's better than going 9 for 12 for 37 yards and nothing, and a turnover. So you gotta look at it in terms of having the moxie, as he says, to know when to make a play, when not to make a play, when to eat it, and just how to win, how to play winning football. It's not just about numbers. I mean, everybody can point to, Brady was sacked the least amount of times. Like, yeah, because he was throwing the ball away. He wouldn't let the play develop. That's not winning football. Right. I mean, it helps your numbers and makes your numbers look better, but in terms of not throwing picks and not turning the ball over, but if you're not taking some chances, you're not moving the ball downfield. So it's about winning football, and that's who's going to win this job.
And speaking of the differences between the two quarterbacks, how they carry themselves, Baker about that yesterday, and so here were his thoughts of how he goes about his business and how Kyle Trask goes about his business as well.
Obviously, I'm a little more outgoing than Kyle, but Kyle's a great guy, and so to me, competition always brings the best out in anybody. You want to have somebody pushing you to be better. You want to have somebody that's going to challenge you and bring a different aspect to it. And John does that as well. John brings the aspect of knowing that offense that we're installing down to a science almost. And so the combination of all three of us, it's pretty special to see how we're working together. And that's when I mentioned the quarterback room is extremely important to be able to gel and get going. Between Kyle, John, and I, it's pretty cool how it's working.
Yeah, you got to have a good room together, and it feels like they complement each other. They all complement each other to get better. So, again, this is all training camp talk, but it's good stuff. it's good stuff. Everybody's saying the right things, and as you point out, it's better than saying the wrong things. It's better than saying the wrong things. All right, we got any more sound from the QBs?
Yeah, we got one more clip here from Baker Mayfield, and this is about his impression of Dave Canales so far, who, again, as we just spoke with BJ, has made a great impression on everybody in the community. But here's what Baker thinks about Dave Canales so far.
Dave's a great guy. Obviously, he's had a ton of success. He's coached every position possible. His philosophy and his approach to the game is great. You know, he talks about having grace and humility. About, you know, we're going to make mistakes, but how do we pick each other up? How do we move on to the next play? How do we be detail oriented and really get on the same page? And we've done the install as kind of a slower approach, which I love, to make sure that everybody truly grasps what we're trying to get done. And that's a special thing. A lot of coaches will try and just put everything in just so they have all the bases covered, but not him. He's working on everybody getting on the same page, really having a true foundation where we can progress and do little things after that.
Yeah, I mean, that's everybody's talking about Dave Canales and how he coaches. And watching him the first couple of days, a couple of things kind of jumped out at me. And number one, extremely organized. And he doesn't bark at guys, but he's forceful. You know, he's very forceful in the way he coaches, very declarative. And you get the message, no doubt about it. Even when he's coaching his coaches, you know, I heard him talking to some of the other coaches a little bit about, hey, let's not substitute quarterbacks within the same set, and telling Dad Lewis that. So he's, you know, getting his point across. And also, you know, this is a work in progress. He's never run an offense before, so it's not only, you know, it's not just about calling plays. It's developing concepts, right? It's developing game plans. You know how, and that's the genius, honestly. You know, everybody talks about calling plays, right? That's important. But the biggest thing an OC does is he breaks down the tape of the defense and says, this is where their weakness is. This is where we're going to attack them. You know, the great OCs developed a strategy. They see things on film that other teams don't, and they'll look at certain ways to attack those weaknesses when they need to the most. You know, it's not like you could see a weakness in a team and say, okay, we're going to just pound that, or you could say, look, you know, on third and long, this is where their weakness is. So we're going to keep that play maybe till the third quarter, the fourth quarter. We'll sequence it in with a play that looks like it in the first quarter, or this is the particular guy on film that, you know, like a Devin White that's over aggressive in this certain way. So we're going to suck him in with a couple of plays and then go over the top. So that to me is where you get the great strategists of the game and great play callers. So it's not just, you know, calling the plays on that particular day. It's figuring out how you're going to play that chess game during the week.
Right, and it goes to the other assistants as well. I've been impressed with. Like you had mentioned it the other day. You're out there, and you know you're a big fan of Joe Gilbert because he looks like that old school like if he was a high school football coach, you know he'd raise hell from day one. And I saw
he'd be fired very quickly.
Maybe. But yeah, I saw clips of him, and it's like, you know, he's, like you said, he's dropping the F-bombs to get his point across and those, you know, old school things. But I kind of like, you know, he doesn't discriminate. You know, if he's got to make his point known to Tristan Wirfs, who's, you know, a top 3 left tackle or offensive tackle in the game, he'll get that point across to Tristan Wirfs the same way he'll get it across to the guy who's the third string. So in general, I think I've been very impressed with the assistants that they've assembled here so far, considering, again, what they had to work with in the offseason when they had no quarterback to even pitch to most of these assistants. I think so far it's been a resounding success. But, of course, we have to see what this looks like in 6 weeks when we get to game time. Yeah,
these units, you know, how did these particular units perform this year? Are they better than last year for some of these new guys coming in? I don't see how the offense can be worse. I really don't.
I hope. There's no way it can get worse. I would like to think. I really would love to think that we could not get worse than the debacle that we had to sit through for 18 games last year. Please.
Lord, no.
Or we're going to have a rough fall. We're going to have a rough fall on this show to have to break it down every single week.
Yeah. Michael Kelly's going to join us at 11:30, so just want to get to a couple other things. You know, we talked a little bit about Colorado joining the Big 12, and they get their full share right off the bat, unlike UCF, which I believe has to wait till 2026 to get their full share.
Discrimination.
That's
discrimination. We're giving Dion all the pop, but we're not giving the UCF Knights, and I'm outraged.
Yeah, how's that work? How's that work?
I'd like Mr. Brett Yormack to answer that question, please.
Yeah. Well, I think because Colorado is a legacy and they've been in the Big 12 before, maybe these programs that are coming in are coming up and they're moving.
I think I even saw something too. Speaking of them being a legacy program, I think they actually are tied with the current Big 12. Now that they're in there, they're like tied for the most Big 12 championships.
Are they really?
Of the schools that are remaining, I think they're right there with Kansas State.
Wow.
Which tells you how wide open that conference is, and that we're looking for someone to become that dominant team in that conference. That Colorado, with all their they've never been good in my lifetime.
No.
I know a lot of people tell me, "Oh, well, in the '90s and the '80s and all." In my lifetime, Colorado has been a joke, like Kansas level jokes. So it's almost wild to see that they're at the front of the line of expansion all of a sudden, and all these it's so weird for me.
No offense, but the last time Colorado was good, Eric Bieniemy was skinny. I mean, really skinny. He was one of the fastest players in football.
I take it back, actually. Colorado, didn't they they won 10 games in 2016, I remember.
Did they?
Jim Levitt was the
Jim Levitt was there, yeah, that's right.
Shocker, the guy can coach.
But mostly not good for over the past 25 years. But I think, it's about it's about economics. You got to entice Colorado to come to your league. I mean, they're in a Power 5 in the Pac-12. Now, Who knows what that's going to become? So, with all due respect to your UCF Golden Knights, you weren't.
Did you just say Golden Knights?
You're Golden Knights or whatever, Black Knights, whatever the hell you are.
You're
astronauts, citronauts.
You're going to offend the sensitive UCF fans out there.
The citronauts.
Can't call them the Golden Knights. You can't call them. You should have said Central Florida Golden Knights. You really would have set them all off.
Central Florida Golden Knights. What the hell are you? Are you a Citronaut? Are you Golden
Listen,
Knight?
I'm going to say it again.
Florida,
last time I checked,
what are you?
Last time I checked, my diploma says University of Central Florida.
Which is
not. Last time I checked. No. So if I want to call them Central Florida, I'm going to call them Central Florida.
Okay, fine. And national champs too. While you're at it.
No, I can't get there. But no, the Big 12. I mean, for me personally, I think it's really cool. UCF obviously is in a conference that seems safe right now when it comes to the future of college football with the media rights deal. It's a big deal, and I don't think they're done. They want to get to that round number of 14, and you see all these rumors. Is Oregon going to be that team that defects to the Big 12? Is it going to be Washington? Because Oregon, you're looking for a big brand because you need one of those, I think, in a conference to survive.
Yeah.
I think the Big 12 might be missing that at the moment. Oregon,
West Coast brand.
Oregon would immediately become the number one brand in that conference.
And they're cool because of Phil Knight. They're cool.
Yeah.
They're all that stuff that comes with Oregon.
Whereas the Pac-12 is dead. I thought it was going to be a race here to see who was going to die first, the ACC or the Pac-12. It looks like the Pac-12 is going to win that race. The Pac-12 is so dead.
Yeah, but there's still some good programs that are left there. I mean, what is talk about Washington, Oregon. I mean, Oregon State even, can play some football.
Yeah, Utah. You have to figure out where Utah's going.
Yeah.
And Stanford hasn't been great in football recently, but, you're going to acknowledge that that's a pretty big program.
It's a great university to have.
Sleeping right now in football.
Yeah. Very true. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back on the other side, and hopefully Michael Kelly will be here to join us, athletic director at the University of South Florida. We're here at TPC at Tampa Bay to raise some money for the Bulls and their football foundation. So we'll take a break here. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES Lawgroup.com, Italiano Insurance, and Extravaganza Productions. If you got a big production like our golf tournament here today, let the folks at Extravaganza Production do it for you. Set it all up for you. They do the audio visual. They've got great creative ideas. In fact, you can get a free creative session with them. Just go to their website at Extravaganza Productions, contact them, tell them you heard it on the JP Show, and they'll give you a free creative session for whatever your business meeting or party is going to be. Find out what you can do and how much it's going to cost. It's a great deal. Extravaganzaproductions.com. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to jeeveslawgroup.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. We're coming to you live from the TPC of Tampa Bay at the USF Football Foundation fundraiser here today. I'm going to be doing a live auction here in a little bit and getting some money for this fine football program that will be moving into their new stadium, on-campus stadium in 2026, before the Rays get a stadium. How about that?
Yuck.
Yeah, we had BJ Daniels talking about that, and that's going to be quite a deal, to be quite honest. Martin Grammatica's son will be kicking off in the new stadium.
Hopefully. Yeah, which, by the way, speaking of USF, I just saw this in the break. There was a report here. It's funny how I just said the Pac-12 is dead, and now I'm going to say this. There have been a multitude of schools who have applied, who have filed paperwork asking to join the Pac-12. And of note, USF is one of those teams, joining Colorado State, San Diego State, SMU, Tulane, USF, Memphis, Boise State, Fresno State, Tulsa, and Rice. So there's some updates there on USF with how it stands to relocation.
Well, I just wish we had somebody we could ask about this report that would know about this report that just came down on Twitter. Wait, Michael Kelly is here. There he is, right there, the athletic director for University of South Florida. What's up, Michael? How are you?
JP, how's it going?
We're going to get you all framed up here.
Okay, all right.
I hate to hit you with this, but it just came out on Twitter, so it has to be true.
Well, I was driving, so I don't know what it is.
You guys have put in paperwork to join the Pac-12? Is it according to Jim Williams? The following schools have filed paperwork. Is this you guys, USF football, right here?
Well,
is that would that be true?
We'll just have to leave it.
Well, welcome to sit down with us. Not today.
I haven't said it in today yet. But,
haven't said it in today. Well, it just goes to the craziness of what's going on, and I just heard somebody else wrote, UCF applied to be in every conference as they were going through, including Pac-12. You file paperwork anytime there's expansion. I mean, if you want to move up to a Power 5. Of course, right? I mean, whether it's the Pac-12, the Big 12,
you got to stay active in conversations with all the different commissioners, and you never know. They never know. You never know when things are gonna happen. So
or what's gonna happen?
Yeah, what's gonna happen. But and still don't know. Even with the news that's happened this week, obviously on one surface level, you'd think, well, Colorado's made a decision, and if it stays like it is, and Pac-12 adds one team, everything stays static. But we all know there's a lot of different things at play there. If more teams from the Pac-12 leave, is that causes a whole different chain reaction. So
how do you predict this landscape? I mean, how do you just now? Obviously, you've been involved in college athletics and running the national championship forever. You're as well connected as anybody in the game, which is one of the reasons it's great to have you as our athletic director.
Sure.
How do you even keep up with it? Is just talking to people and you hearing things?
Yeah, that's all you got to do is be able to stay in contact. I mean, even before the CFP, when I was at the ACC, we went through 3 different expansions during my time there, none of which we would have ever – there was no timeline that you ever knew when it was going to come. It often comes around times when there's media deals being done by any given conference, and that's kind of what's happening with the Pac-12 now. But when you look at even a couple of years down the road, you've got obviously the Big 12 just did theirs. The Big 10 is going to come back with another package here. So everyone's getting shorter and shorter TV media rights contracts because they all know it's such an evolving.
Except the ACC.
The ACC's locked in for a long time, and so that's obviously a very different thing right now. So. And people have learned from that, and that's why people are going shorter time frames, especially with with the mediums of how people digest games are all changing too. So who knows where the value comes. So it's just an evolving world. You really can just all you can do is really focus on bettering yourself all the time, and then staying in touch and communication. So whenever something happens, I mean, let's face it. Even with the guys joining the Big 12 last week, that they were nimble and ready to go like all of us were. But it was no one knew that date was coming. It was just, hey, as soon as Texas OU happened, the Big 12 finally said we're looking to go, and they happened to, in this case, really take 4 teams that were performing at a pretty good level in football at that moment.
So I guess the strategy is to keep your resume as updated and as good as possible, right? Because you don't know when the call is going to come, and you have to keep all options open, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's a good analogy. I mean, just like any of us need to keep our resumes updated, and in the case of us, obviously trying to be as aggressive as we can to continue to show and demonstrate the I would call it comprehensive excellence of our program. Obviously, we can't sugarcoat it. The last 3 years of football have been way below par or expectations for any of us, and we've got to address that. And I think everyone knows we've made the coaching changes. We've added significant resources into our staff to hopefully bolster recruiting and help our coaching staff be as good as they can be. Obviously, the new indoor performance facility is a huge thing that we needed for many, many years that we're proud to get. And now with all the aggressive work we're doing on a stadium and a football ops building is going to speaks volumes to what our commitment is, but it also is just something that our coaches need to be able to deliver and our players need to prepare. And so, but you also can look to ways to update things, just like the AAU news was huge for us as a university. Presidents vote on this stuff, and they love to see USF being at the highest echelon of academia here in the United States. And then just like as you reported on before a couple weeks ago, JP, when you look at evaluating the Learfield Cup, which really kind of evaluates athletic departments as a whole, during the first 10 years of the American, USF finished second, Houston finished first, they're moving on. But there's no shame in that being second in terms of the comprehensive excellence, and we got to get our act together in football, which is why you're here today. To
exactly,
help us
that's it.
football.
We're going to raise some money. By the way, you can go online and you can bid on some of these things we're going to put out there. Some great packages out there, trips with the team. It's fantastic, once in a lifetime opportunities. So go online to USF football website and you can bid on some of those items. Yep. So with the new stadium coming online, this has always been. I've been here 27 years covering sports, and there was when I first got here, and I'd covered Florida State intimately for 12 years while I was in Tallahassee, and I got here and I'm saying, okay, there's a different level here of commitment, from upper management, so to speak. I get the feeling that with real law, and this is nothing against the past regimes, right. They did what they were doing more for an academic focus. That's great. That's where it should be in a lot of ways. But to move this university forward, it was my opinion, and I believe yours as well, that you had to move the athletic department. I saw it firsthand at Florida State. When I first got there, it was low level. As the football exploded there, when I was there, you get 800, you can get into Florida State. Now, my son needed a 1,400 to get in. So the academics came along with everything else, but the football program and Bobby Bowden led it that way. It became a big-time university. The academics got better. Everything got better. Now, USF was kind of behind on that, but now with what you've done with these facilities, it feels like now the commitment is there. The on-campus is coming there. You feel at least I do from the outside looking in, feel a different commitment to what's going on here that has to be needed to keep up with the Joneses, especially in this state.
Yeah, you described it extremely well, JP. I mean, when I was here before, when you were kind of getting started back when we were just starting football, that was a different feel. We knew we were at a different stage of evolution. It was great to see our program, get to different heights. But you're right. When I was recruited back here, looking into the future and realizing things that we needed to do, and seeing leadership continue to come on board and understand that. I mean, Dr. Genshaft was first, put me on the cabinet at the university level. That was the first time the AD had been at that level, which it needs to be. Then obviously to have Corral and now Law be able to continue to believe in that, and really the leadership that comes from the board with Will Weatherford fully realizing what we need to do and helping guide, he along with Rhea, guiding the rest of the university to realize just how important it is that you can be great in both academics and athletics, that we've obviously achieved extremely high marks in academia that we would have never dreamed of happening this fast, but they did it because they invested, because they stayed focused on something. and now we've got to do the same thing in athletics, and we are. And I know it feels like, can you say it's too late? Or it's never too late. As you just said, you never know when this next round.
That's right.
Today's the first round of the next realignment. More is going to happen tomorrow. More is going to happen a year from now, 3 years from now. It's never going to really stop. And in a big scheme of things, when you look at history as a whole, it's still a relatively young program, and this is just our time now to really, responsibly and healthily go into it and really go guns a-blazing in terms of investing in our athletic program. And I'm very appreciative of our university support, and it takes, not just, it can't all be on the university. It comes from the support from the fans, and we've got some loyal folks that have been with us from the very beginning, and now we got to keep growing the Stampede to make sure if we want the highest level of athletics here in the Tampa Bay marketplace. We're the ticket. We've been successful at different times, but this is the time to invest, because we've got to get it going, and it's really cool that we've got some cool things coming online with the stadium and everything else.
I've always felt that, in a lot of professional sports, teams win, the fans come. In college sports, you need to create an atmosphere to win. Yeah. And I think that's why it's incumbent upon the USF fans. And it's hard, when you're not winning at the level, really it's hard to get people to come to games. I get it. But I tell the USF fans all the time, you guys got to be out there. You got to create that atmosphere where players want to come play here. Yep. Even if it's, it's not a winning product, it hasn't been for the last few years, you got to get that atmosphere going. That'll be easier, I think, with an on-campus stadium, but you got a few years before that happens.
Yeah.
And, we got to fill Raymond James Stadium.
We got to turn the corner now. We got to be able to, part of it goes with the performance, and Alex knows that, and he's focused on that. But then you're right, and the other unique thing about college atmospheres is the students, right?
Yes.
So we got to
get them going.
Well, there's not a lot of revenue that comes associated with that. We still have to double down on our efforts to get students out to the games, which will absolutely be incredible when we get on campus, make it a lot easier for them. But that's even why some people come to college games, even opposed to the pros, because they like the atmosphere.
Exactly.
It's created by the spirit and passion of college fans. So it's kind of incumbent on, incumbent on the university to continue to invest everything they can. It's incumbent on my staff and I to our coaches to deliver the best product, for us to raise as much money as we can, but to also instill the passion of students to come, and then fans to continue to stay loyal to us and keep coming out, because we've got folks, again, that have been there since 1997, which we appreciate. And you're right, it's very hard. And I understand if I'm asking some folks for money and they see the performance the last 3 years, it's like, come on, Michael, what's going on? And it's like, but you're right, unlike pros, where maybe a really wealthy owner can just keep injecting dollars. It's like, we got to have it from our alums, from the local marketplace.
Especially with NIL.
And you have to have faith. So really, the worst thing you can do, if you're mad at the performance, the worst thing you can do is back out now, and just kind of have faith that when you see the new IPF and you see the plans coming together for the stadium, and I think when you see the kind of I just think the kind of the edge, the passion, the work ethic that I think people are starting to realize and feel from Alex is what we need here, and I think
permeating through the community.
Yeah,
it is.
He's not going to take he's going to give everything he's got to win. I think people are starting to see that.
I love it. Michael Kelly joining us, USF Athletic Director. I'm sure you saw the bill working its way through Congress to bring NIL under an umbrella, and some other things as well. I get nervous when government gets involved, but it's something that's needed. Somebody's got to pull all of this together. What is your first impression of the bill? What do you like? What don't you like?
Well, I spent a couple days in Indianapolis this week with the NIL working group kind of at the NCAA, and had a lot of discussions on it. I'm encouraged to see a bipartisan bill come together that's at least addressing it. It can't all rely on government, like you said. The NCAA has to put something in place, and it's not going to be perfect no matter what kind of guidance they put in, whether it's a national registry, whether it's a standardized contract, not necessarily in terms of dollar amounts, but at least in terms of the same things to protect the kids and have businesses know what they're working with, and kind of shed a little bit of sunlight on the marketplace, just so that all this can kind of settle out.
Idea
what's going on. You never really know what's happening, and even if not, there's never going to be 100% compliance. I'm sure some different penalties or incentives aren't going to make it perfect, but it's got to be better than the kind of data we have now. So something's got to be done. I applaud Charlie Baker, who I've gotten to know the last couple of months. I feel is, he knows that. He knows there's got to be, the NCAA, we as a collective organization probably did drop the ball by not putting in better guardrails. It's a mess right now.
Yep.
Got to do something to bring it there, but not taking, the aspect of these young people having a chance to capitalize on name, image, likeness is fine, but let's get back to what's name, image, likeness as opposed to what's shrouded as pay for play.
Yeah, exactly. And it's got to be hard for you guys to keep up at USF because the dollars that are going in NIL money, I'm sure USF is far behind in this because that's just the nature of the beast of these bigger programs. They have bigger boosters who've been there longer, they're richer.
Their maturity and their generational wealth makes a big difference.
Generational wealth,
And but again, our fans are listening to the message. I wish I could be like Florida and probably say, hey, don't worry about giving to the annual fund, just give to the NIL. For us, we truly need it all, and you really have to give where your passion is. And some people get it, kind of see the business aspect of what's happening in NIL and trying to and really want to support those kids in that manner. Great, do that. We need it. We need everybody to do it.
Yeah.
Some, still aren't comfortable with that, but they do believe in the vision of the stadium, vision of what kids need. We've always, since I've gotten here, we've had to improve our nutrition program. We've had to improve, facilities. We've had to improve the way we travel. So all those things are happening because of the generosity of donors directly to the program. And now there's opportunities to be able to, go straight to the kids, and we need it because it's just the reality of how people are ultimately retaining their rosters, and it's got to be a part of it.
Well, according to Twitter, you're going to be in the Pac-12 tomorrow, so congratulations. It's always right.
The
Twitter's always right.
West Coast flights are there, but to that point, I mean, obviously you got to stay nimble and see what happens, explore every option. So
who knows? Who knows? Michael, thanks so much. Go press the flesh, get some money. Let's go.
Breakfast at Tampa. Those 9 a.m. kicks, right?
I'd love to just come right in. Wow, it's reports coming on. Thank you, Michael.
I'll come back in an hour. We'll talk about the other conferences. That's right.
It'll all be changed. It'll all be changed. Thank you so much. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and finish things up here as we get set to tee off. Boy, my game's in a shambles. It's bad. It's bad. I don't know. Nobody's going to want me on their team this year, so who knows. But we'll have some fun with it. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side and chat about what Michael said, BJ said, and we'll talk about this college football expansion coming up. Stay with us.
Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
During COVID, over 1.7 million people were added to the Florida Medicaid rolls, but as of April 1st, 2023, most of these people may not be eligible for the Medicaid coverage and will lose their health plan. If you have been notified you are losing your coverage, don't freak out. It's very likely you can apply for a federal subsidy under the Affordable Care Act. Just call 877-652-0244. Our representatives will walk you through the whole process, get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free health care. You can select great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Love them. Paying $800 left after making the call. 877-652-0244. Our highly trained professionals know all the intricacies of the new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. So if you're being dropped from Medicaid, fear not. Call 877-652-0244. Get real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244.
Hey, JP here for Extravaganza Productions Incorporated, EPI. You've probably seen their purple logo at so many events that you've gone to. They are based in Tampa, and for over 33 years, they've been creating and producing conferences, meetings, and special events, the biggest to the smallest. Solid reputation of delivering the best audio-visual, sound, lighting, entertainment, video production, and decor on time and on budget. I've worked with them with so many big events. The Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-style event all over Tampa Bay, from McDill to the Convention Center to USF. They did it flawlessly, made it look big and fantastic. I've worked with them on small events as well, large and small meetings and conferences, sporting events, fundraisers. If you got a fundraiser, you don't know the logistical way to pull it off, they'll take care of everything. Entertainment events, branding events, grand openings, so much more. The folks at Extravaganza Productions are the most professional and the best. I've worked with them many times. They are fantastic. You can contact them through extravaganzaproductions.com or call 813-621-4700. Extravaganza Productions, they are awesome.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back here as we are wrapping things up here at the TPC of Tampa Bay, the USF Football Foundation. Going to raise some money for the foundation today, get some more equipment for these guys. It's not NIL money. That's something else that needs to be picked up for USF. We'll see where the new emphasis goes. But it's, as Michael said, it's kind of weird now because they're asking donors for money for the foundation, for the infrastructure, the stadium, the indoor practice facility, and then you also have to use that money to retain your players as well. So, and that's a whole nother pot of money that goes into it. So that's another weird dance that these universities are having to go through. This college football.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, he said it. It's hard to convince people to spend with their dollars to a program that has been, very unsuccessful over the past few seasons. But you got to start somewhere, and you can't. And like he said, the worst thing to do right now is to jump off the ship,
right?
Because then you're only going to make problems worse, and you're going to essentially just put the nail in the coffin that you're never going to get to where you want to be. And I think every program around the country is trying to put together the best package to get to where they want to be. That includes USF, and the fan base has got to be on board. They have to. You have got to create an atmosphere if you want to have a great program.
And it kind of sounds ridiculous, but is it any more ridiculous than USC and UCLA going to the Big 12 and Big 10? I mean, all these big poor programs that are. You never thought they would ever go to these other, East Coast, West Coast, West Coast, East Coast. You never thought you would see that. And now you're seeing it. So, I mean, the news that they put in paperwork for the Pac-12, it's not, it's standard operating procedure. If you're not in a Power 5 conference and you want to get into these super conferences, you better be doing your due diligence and putting in paperwork, because if you don't put your resume in, you're not going to get the job. That's for sure.
Right.
So,
and if you compare USF to those programs that enter the paperwork, and those are probably all the programs that are trying to get into the Power 5, how many of those programs is USF realistically in front of them? Right? Is like the question there. And I would venture to say not many.
Well,
the ones that are there.
The thing, and I think Michael said it best, is it's one thing we're going to, every program is going to be probably judged by their football program, right?
Correct.
But that's not really the way they look at it from a conference standpoint. They look at their overall athletic programs and what they can bring to the table. They also look at the size of the universities. They look at the geographic spots of the university.
Size and geographic-wise, I think USF has that going for them.
Huge. They're top 25 in terms of size of enrollment in the nation. Obviously, a very desirable geographic position in Florida. So, people look at the football program, wow, USF, how are they going to get into a conference? They're not as good as UNLV. Well, yeah, they are. They're more attractive than UNLV because they bring a bigger TV market. They bring a bigger presence in a bigger state and in a talent-rich state where you could do more recruiting. So
yeah, it's kind of like when I think about it, like a Boise State, for example. Like, we always put Boise State at the front of the line when it comes to expansion, but at the end of the day, it's Boise, Idaho.
Right.
So how
no TV market.
valuable from that standpoint, geographic size, all that things, is Boise State.
Now they win football games, but that's not going to bring
Not
you
even
money.
not even at the rate that they did before.
Right.
If they were winning 11 football games like they did a decade ago, maybe it's a little different.
No, but yes, market size is much more important than so much of this other stuff, because that brings television households. You say, well, is there a lot of people watching USF football? Well, not right now, but when they were in the top 25 and the top 10, there was tons of eyeballs on them. So, and there you got it. And if you're expanding at a conference, you're going to expand with the eye on the future, saying, at some point this is going to be a good program, and they get the right coaching, it could be right around the corner. Who knows? All right, our thanks to BJ Daniels and Michael Kelly, athletic director, who joined us today. We will be back on Monday. We will be live from training camp again with the Buccaneers. So go Rays this weekend against the Astros. Boy, they need a couple of wins. And hopefully on Monday we're talking about Paul Goldschmidt being in that lineup. Let's pray. We'll see you then. Have a great day, everybody.